Hey everyone, I finished watching the next episode of Lightspeed Rescue in the Limelight. I don't like this one. This is probably my least favorite episode in all of Lightspeed Rescue. When I was a kid, I didn't like it. When I was a teenager, I didn't like it. When I was an adult and I bought the DVDs, I still didn't like it. And as a result of that, I haven't watched this one a whole lot. I watched it, when I got the DVDs, then pretty much every time after that, I've skipped it. Because it's very skippable. Nothing really important happens. At the very beginning of the episode, Banshira begins to transform, and it's kind of a cool scene. We get to see she's engulfed in this big wall of flames, and Jinxer runs in. My queen, what's happening? And she's like, I have begun my transformation. And the other monsters come in, and they're like, whoa, what's happening? And then Vipra says to Jinxer, Jinxer, come with me. And she leads Jinxer outside. What is it? I need you to make me a monster, quick. And then, so he takes a card, throws it at a tree, it becomes Treevil. Isn't there a Pokemon named Treevil? Anyway, why did Vipra want the monster so bad? I don't know. Yeah. And also, forget about Banshira transforming, forget about anything to do with actual Power Rangers, because then it's gonna switch to just nonsense for the rest of the episode. Anyway, when I rewatched it, and I saw that, I was like, oh, the beginning's kind of cool. I really like the beginning, but then it just falls apart soon after. Now, the very next scene is kind of cool. Let's see, Treevil is attacking the city, he's blowing up these buildings, the Rangers show up, and they're going around, they're saving all the people hurt in the attack. Treevil, they don't attack Treevil right away. Alright. I guess, saving the people takes priority. It's just kind of weird, because, they almost never do that now in Power Rangers. Like, they never acknowledge, the collateral damage caused by the monsters. So anyway, while they're saving the people, Dana's carrying this kid to an ambulance, and there's this photographer there taking pictures of everybody. And I really like this scene. It's really cool to see this photographer out there in the middle of what's basically a war zone. And so anyway, later on, we see the photographer guy take some pictures to this woman dressed up in a really silly outfit. And she's looking at the pictures, looking for a new model for their magazine, Glitz Magazine. And she's looking at the pictures, no, 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 none of these work. And she is so over the top and ridiculous, and she really doesn't feel right here. She feels so wrong in the show. Like, it feels like she came from a completely different show. Like, all while I was watching this, all I could think of was, this feels like the type of character that should have been, I don't know, in Dino Thunder, where they had, a recurring gag in Dino Thunder was all these, really hammy, over-the-top, parody actors. And that's what she feels like. Anyway, her name's Coco Cashmere. And there's an odd thing with her name. On Ranger Wiki, it spells it with a K. K-O-K-O. And I wrote it out C-O-C-O because that's how Coco is spelled. Coco with K's reminds me of the gorilla Coco. So, anyway, I was wondering, did they change the name because of Coco Chanel and how, litigious they are with their name? Because I remember hearing about when My Little Pony had a character named Coco Pamel. They had to change the name, and so what they did was now in the show, the show's over with now, but every time she showed up after her initial appearance, they would call her Miss Pamel, and they couldn't say Coco anymore. And I'm getting off topic. Back to this thing. I was just wondering, is that why they changed the spelling to, technically avoid, a lawsuit or whatever it is, Coco Chanel? Who even cares about Coco Chanel? Does the audience of My Little Pony or Power Rangers... I didn't even know who Coco Chanel was. Like, I thought it was a person. Anyway, um, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. The woman's going through the model pictures, and she sees a newspaper with a picture of Dana carrying the kid to the ambulance, and she says, "Who is this?" And she points at her. "She'll be my new glitz girl." And, so then she goes, and she just finds Dana and convinces her to become a model by offering her the money that she needs to go to medical school, because earlier she was talking to Kelsey about how she wanted to go to medical school. And I remember being younger and kind of being confused about that, because, like, I thought she already had some medical experience. Like, isn't she, I can't remember now. Like, early on, like, I know she's, like, a paramedic or something. I know paramedics aren't actual, like, medics all the time, but don't they have some medical training and experience? And it seems like that would help her along. That she wouldn't need to, like, pay a whole lot. Also, she's a Power Ranger, and it seems like, wouldn't that help you get into a medical school? And also, your father, like, I assume he's been in the military. He has the rank of captain. He, controls the Aqua Base. He runs a team of Rangers. Oh, and he was friends with that General McKnight guy, and he took orders from him, so he probably was in the military to some extent, so wouldn't that help you along in getting to medical school? Whatever. Who cares? I don't care. Anyway, back to the crappy episode recap thing. Um, Dana goes with Coco Cashmere to a photo shoot, and she's taking the pictures, and Cashmere stops her. "What is that on your wrist?" And she's like, "It's my morpher. Take it off." And she does. Okay. Suddenly, like, it made me think of back in Mighty Morphin when Tommy would stupidly take his communicator off and, like, shut it in his locker or something, and then stuff would be happening, and then at the end of the episode he'd be like, "Oh crap, my morpher, or my communicator," and the others are like, "It's okay, Tommy, we took care of it without you." "Oh man, I'm real sorry, guys." "It's alright, Tommy." That's what it made me think of. So yeah, back to the stupidity here. She puts it, like, slightly off to the side so she can't hear it when it goes off. Oh, and it made me think, yeah, their morphers go off in this episode. I don't think that happened often in Lightspeed, did it? Like, I've been watching every episode, and I don't seem to remember too many times where their morphers actually made a sound to indicate, like, something. Like, I think they did a few times, so I don't know. But it didn't happen a lot. Oh yeah, and also, um, the monster's still out there, right? Like, this is like a day or two after the monster attack. So Dana's going off to this photo shoot. I don't know what the Rangers are doing. Or, yeah, later on, yeah, Trevo launches an attack. The Rangers go to fight him. They can't contact Dana. And then, oh yeah, the Rangers go back to the Aqua Base. And Dana's already there. Okay, I guess nobody told her that there was a monster attacking when she came in. And so Kelsey comes in. She sees Dana. Dana's talking to Kelsey, all excited about her new modeling career. And, yeah, Kelsey's like, "We were fighting the monster." "Oh, jeez, I'm so sorry." And then we do get a nice little scene after that where, let's see. Dana apologizes to Kelsey, and Kelsey says, "Well, I'll forgive you once." And I like that. Anyway, there's another thing in my notes here that I was thinking of when I was watching this. Uh, Dana doesn't act like herself when she's talking to Kelsey about modeling, because this has never been a thing with her before. Like, granted, we don't see a ton of the Rangers, like, personal lives in Lightspeed. Like, we see a bit of it. We know what their hobbies are. We know, like, what their general interests are. But as for, like more deeply personal things, we don't get too deep into it. But still, it feels weird for, like, Dana to suddenly be all about modeling and all about fashion and fancy things when she's never displayed this kind of interest in those type of things before. And I wrote that before this, Dana kind of seemed utilitarian, where she really wouldn't have interest in any of that kind of stuff, but I don't know, maybe after she agreed to do the photo shoot for Coco Cashmere, then she like got a taste for it, and she was like, oh, actually, I really like this. And I mean, that can happen. Am I thinking way too deep into this? I think I am, because this is a really stupid episode, and here I am, like, trying to think about it. So anyway, um, blah, blah. Oh yeah, when she's talking to Kelsey, it leans a bit too far into being really cartoony, which I know sounds silly for, like, it's Power Rangers. It's going to be over the top and cartoony, but I don't know. I don't like this kind. I like it when it's more like uber dramatic, and like it's so serious that it kind of comes off as funny. When it's like funny being over the top, like some characters can make it work. Cassidy and Devin and Dino Thunder can make extreme comedy work. Bulk and Skull, even Victor and Monty, like my biggest problem with them was just there was way too much of them, but when they did way over the top goofy stuff, it did work. But yeah, anyway, finally back to the episode after my like tangent into other things. Dana and Kelsey are out somewhere and they see Dana's picture on the cover of Glitz magazine, and then they're immediately mobbed by like a bazillion fans. And I was thinking, it's a modeling magazine. These are like just random people. Like one or two I could get. Like there's one guy at the newsstand specifically looking at the Glitz magazine. He sees that. He sees her. You're that girl. Like, okay, that I get, because this guy is like obviously interested in the magazine for whatever reason. But like everybody, like people stop their cars to run out and like try to get an autograph from her. Okay. I never really got the obsession, like the fanaticism with celebrities that some people have. Like, I kind of get it, but like, for a model? I don't know. Whatever. Oh, and the other thing is this magazine just came out. Are all these people as obsessed with the magazine as the first guy? Of all the things in Power Rangers, this is the one thing that really just destroys the suspension of disbelief. That, yeah, anyway. Then we get to see a montage of Dana's modeling career, and one of the really funny things is it shows, like, multiple magazines, like, at least 3, so that implies, like, is this a monthly magazine? Because that would imply that this has been going on for at least 3 months, and that monster, Trevel, is out there the whole time, and the Rangers aren't doing anything to, like, stop him. Or, well, maybe they are fighting and then, like, retreating, or, like, he gets away at the last minute. And, like, what is he doing all this time? Like, does he have to hibernate or something in between attacks? Anyway, then we get to see a scene with Dana and Kelsey back at the Aqua Base. And there's a really weird thing. Even the, like, the crew, the scientists on the Aqua Base, they're all crazy about Dana. Like, hasn't she been coming here, like, these past couple of months? Like, I don't know, are they just like slowpokes or something? Like the general public knows about her popularity instantly, but then like they're just sitting there. Oh, she's popular. and anyway, there is a cute little scene where the Rangers are watching, and Chad's like, "Wow, I can't believe how popular she is." And Kelsey says, "Yeah," and then she scribbles a mustache on a picture on one of Dana's magazines. So then there's a training mission the Rangers are on, and Dana keeps like stopping and like making sure her nails are clean or her hair doesn't get messed up. Then there's a part where she has to like pull a rope to hold Kelsey up somewhere. Then she drops Kelsey into a mud puddle when she gets a phone call. And I was thinking, this is this is 2000, and she has a cell phone. Like, this is something that has kind of, like, as the show has gotten older, this probably doesn't stand out anymore as something to stand out, but at the time, cell phones were extremely rare and probably only used by like extremely like busy business people or fashion models. So this was like supposed to be a tip of how deep down the rabbit hole of like this modeling business she's gotten to. Whereas now she just pulls out a cell phone and you don't think about it. All you think of is, oh wow, this is an old looking cell phone. Because it even has a little antenna on it. Remember when cell phones had antennas? I'm getting off topic again. Back to the episode. Um, yeah, she drops Kelsey in a mud puddle, and Kelsey's understandably, like, ticked at her. And then, Dana just goes off at her and calls her jealous. Everybody else is trying to talk sense into her, and she brushes them off. And then she gets into a limo. Oh, and then there is a funny bit where she says, I specifically ordered a white limo, and it's a black limo. So, oh yeah, and then this is really weird. Like, Dana's been acting so strange the entire episode, but then, like, after she's in the limo, she gets out to go to some fashion show, and then almost immediately, like, as quickly as she changed into this, she switches back out of it, back to normal. She goes back to join the Rangers, they defeat Trevel, and then, oh, there's a neat thing. They destroy Trevel, and then we see, like, the card throw and make him grow, but Jinxer doesn't say anything. Could he not think of a rhyme this time? Oh, there's a rhyme. I don't know. It seems like Trevel. It rhymes with evil. It'd be so easy to make, like, a rhyme out of Trevel, evil. I don't know. Like, I'm on the spot, but, like, they had writers. They could have done something. Or was it not Jinxer? Was Vipra standing off to the side? Does she not say rhymes when she makes the monsters grow? Or, I don't know, did Jinxer, like, go back to check on Olympius and he gave a Batling the card and was like, if the monster gets destroyed, throw this card at his remains and he'll grow giant. Is that what happened? That's my headcanon. That's what happened. So then, anyway, it grows giant. They defeat it. The end. And, oh yeah, I didn't even write that they defeated the monster. It's just a given at this point. So anyway, Dana's, like, back studying for medical school, and Coco comes back to try and convince her to be a model again, and just then, Kelsey comes up, and Coco sees Kelsey, and she's like, oh, you're gonna be my new glitz girl! And then they laugh, and say no, and leave the end. And, maybe I'm just biased, but, like, if Kelsey was the one who was the model, then I could 100% understand everyone going crazy for her and, like, just instantly being in love with her because she's my favorite ranger in Lightspeed. So, yeah, pro Kelsey all the way. Anyway, this is ridiculous. This episode was just... it was just so stupid. This whole episode was so stupid. And you know what really sucks is, and I was thinking about this earlier when I was at work, because at work I don't have a lot to do, so I was trying to think of what to talk about with this episode, and I was thinking of comparing it to other, like, bad episodes, and I was thinking of Dino Supercharge, especially towards the end of Supercharge, and how one of the big issues with Dino Supercharge was the stakes don't get raised. Towards the end of the series, this is when the stakes are supposed to be rising. The Rangers are losing equipment, or they're, like, winning victories over the bad guys, or there's big changes happening within the bad guys group. But instead, like, in Dino Supercharged, that stuff was happening, but it was, like, pushed to the side to focus on, oh, Shelby and her friend sing songs and they get famous. Or this other, like, stuff that should be B stories is the A story, and whatever the main thing going on is, that's brushed off to the side. That's kind of what this feels like. This is the last episode before the final arc of the show, when Banshira returns, and she's the new big bad, or well, she's already the big bad, but now she's, like, a more proactive big bad, and big changes start to happen. This is the last episode before all that. And it's a bizarre filler episode where Dana's completely out of character. There's like no focus on the villains. The other Rangers are barely in it. It's all Dana, some Kelsey, and then the other Rangers just kind of show up in the background. And then there's another weird thing, like I've heard people say that like she's not out of character because various things, but I don't know. We've seen her before, and it does not match the level of immaturity she shows in this because we've had old episodes that have really displayed her maturity very well. Um, I can't remember the name of it right now. Was it Go Volcanic? I think it was Go Volcanic, the one where she's on that bus that got hijacked. Imagine if the Dana from this episode was in that one. Everyone would be dead. And, oh yeah, that was the other thing. The monster's completely forgotten about. Like, months go by, if the montage has any, is any indication of the time. Because, like, even if it's weekly, like, magazines don't, like, fashion magazines, they don't come out every day. Like, at the, like, most, it'd be weekly. So, it's at least 3 weeks where the Rangers, like, just have a monster there and they don't do anything, or it's forgotten about. Maybe they do something about it and we just don't see it because Dana's modeling garbage is so much more important. Oh yeah, then there was a weird thing. There was an interview with Chip Lynn, who was the writer of this episode. He was a writer of a lot of episodes of the old Saban era seasons from, let's see, Mighty Morphin up until Time Force. And then he was also a writer in RPM and a producer, as well as a writer-producer from Dino Charge up until Beast Morphers. Oh, and he's also a producer on Dino Fury, I think, even now. So anyway, um, he's a really prolific writer for Power Rangers. He has written some of the best episodes, and then he also wrote this. And there was an interview with him somewhere where he said this was one of his favorite episodes. Okay, dude. Like, I'm suddenly understanding like why Beast Morphers is a thing a little bit more, if that's true. Oh yeah, and also speaking of Beast Morphers, Glitz magazine from this episode is mentioned in Beast Morphers, and I don't know if it like makes an appearance or something. I don't remember, but yeah, I remember some people talking about how cool it was in Beast Morphers that they're referencing old episodes. And oh, did you see they had a Glitz magazine? Because that's so relevant and means so much to Power Rangers. Glitz magazine from this one bad Lightspeed episode. Oh yeah, and one of the things I like to do is go to Ranger Wiki to look up the trivia for these episodes. And the Power Rangers wiki is pretty weird with the trivia because it's full of just the most anal, pedantic, like, just non-information that you could want. Some of it is pretty funny. Like, one of the things I liked was, in the trivia, Dr. Fairweather and Ryan don't appear in this episode. Thanks? Like, I can kind of understand them saying about Dr. Fairweather not appearing because the Aquabase is there in the episode, but why Ryan? Like, what relevance does Ryan have to this at all? Like, it'd be easier to list the episodes he was in than the episodes he wasn't. And, oh yeah, then there's another weird thing. There's a couple of trivia notes I've seen that have this bizarre wording, due to a reused footage. Due to a reused footage. Okay. That happens so often. It makes me think somebody who didn't speak English well just like spam posted a ton of entries on the Ranger Wiki. Oh yeah, and then there was another thing. The plot of this episode apparently came from an episode of Die Ranger, and when they mentioned that, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember something like that. I remember the Die Ranger episode being a heck of a lot better than this one, though. And then, oh yeah, this is something else. I used to think about this episode a lot. Like, this episode is so weird, Dana's so out of character, and all I could think of was maybe this episode was written before they had the characters figured out. Like maybe this was one of the very first episodes that they wrote for this season. Or if it's true that the plot came from a Die Ranger episode, was it like originally going to be an adapted Die Ranger episode? Like was this going to be Kimberly or Trini or Aisha's episode originally? Was one of them going to become a model? Like yeah, any of them I could see like definitely fitting this kind of plot better. Like maybe not Trini, but like Aisha or Kimberly, maybe. I don't know. It'd still be like cartoony and over the top, but I feel like I don't know. Back in Mighty Morphin, they might have been able to get away with it a little bit more, or maybe they would have been a little less hammy with it than they were in Lightspeed. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming that this was probably like a really early episode that they wrote, and then I don't know, they were out of scripts or something, or they needed like one more episode, and they were like, oh, we have this one, and it would be easy to adapt it into a Power Ranger episode. I'm assuming they shot a lot of original footage, and it couldn't have been easy because it's like fashion modeling stuff, so that was a lot of original outfits and things. And anyway, the episode sucks. I don't like it. Worst of Lightspeed. Don't know what else to say about it, so, see ya.